Hi, it's me, Dick Jr. God bless. I'm going to go ahead and read Daniel 2. This will be my reading tomorrow at church, as of this time, when the video is being made. I only took a couple references from Daniel, or a couple references outside of Daniel. One of them was Psalms 36, verse 9, chapter 36, verse 9 of Psalms. And the other one is Daniel, chapter 1, verse 17, which is just a page flip back. That's chapter 1, verse 17, Daniel. I've already prayed and asked God to help me read to you, so I'm going to go ahead and read this. Mostly this is just a straight read through, but there's some pretty incredible things that happen here in chapter 2. And also, explains why some of the things were said in chapter 1 concerning prophecy and Daniel's ability to interpret prophecy through the Spirit of the Lord. Okay, so here we are, verse 1, chapter 2. Now, in the second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar had dreams, and his spirit was troubled, and his sleep left him. So he had some dreams, and they kept him awake. Then the king gave orders to call in the magicians, the conjurers, the sorcerers, and the Chaldeans to tell the king his dreams. So they came in and stood before the king. The king said to them, I had a dream, and my spirit is anxious to understand the dream. Then the Chaldeans spoke to the king in Aramaic, which was a common language even in the time of Jesus. O king, live forever. Tell the dream to your servants, and we will declare the interpretation. The king replied to the Chaldeans, the command from me is firm. If you do not make known to me the dream and its interpretation, you will be torn limb from limb, and your houses will be made a rubbish heap. I'm going to pause just for a second. It's going to go on, and they're going to argue this case, but to think about it, he wanted him to interpret his dream. The king wanted them to interpret his dream, and he wasn't going to tell him what he dreamt. He wanted him to tell him his dream and interpret it as well. Otherwise, he wouldn't believe the interpretation. So, anyway, I'm going to go on. But if you declare the dream and its interpretation, you will receive from me gifts and a reward and great honor. Therefore, declare to me the dream and its interpretation. They answered a second time and said, let the king tell the dream to his servants, and we will declare the interpretation. So they're trying to change the deal. The king says, tell me my dream and its interpretation, and you can live. Well, no, actually, he says, tell me these things and I'll make honor for you. He gets aggravated after this. The king replied, I know for certain that you are bargaining for time, inasmuch as you have seen that the command for me is firm, that if you do not make the dream known to me, there is only one decree for you have agreed together to speak lying, corrupt words before me until the situation is changed. Therefore, tell me the dream, that I may know that you can declare to me its interpretation. So again, the king said, look, you're going to tell me the dream and the interpretation. That way I know you're not lying. And the Chaldeans answered the king and said, there is not a man on earth who can declare the matter for the king, inasmuch as no great king or ruler has ever asked anything like this of any magician, conjurer, or Chaldean. So any magician, conjurer, Chaldean, or astrologer, or the list goes on. Moreover, the thing which the king demands is difficult, and there is no one else who could declare it to the king except God's, whose dwelling place is not with mortal flesh. Because of this, the king became indignant and very furious, and gave orders to destroy all the wise men of Babylon. So the decree went forth that the wise men should be slain, and they looked for Daniel and his friends to kill them. So we had talked about Daniel and his friends in the last chapter. There was 4 young Jewish men there. Then Daniel replied with discretion and discernment to Arioch, the captain of the king's bodyguard, who had gone forth to slay the wise men of Babylon. He said to Arioch, the king's commander, for what reason is the decree from the king so urgent? When Arioch informed Daniel about the matter, so Daniel went in and requested of the king that he would give him time in order that he might declare the interpretation to the king. Then Daniel went to his house and informed his friends, and I was just talking about his friends, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. That's their their Hebrew names, about the matter, so that they might request compassion from the God of heaven concerning this mystery. And it's capitalized. They mean God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, the God that I'm speaking of, Jehovah God, of heaven concerning this mystery, so that Daniel and his friends would not be destroyed with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. Then the mystery was revealed to Daniel in a night vision. Then Daniel blessed the God of heaven. So in a dream, Daniel saw the answer to his prayers, what the dream was and what the dream was interpreted as. And when he awoke up, he didn't run to tell the king. What he did was he stopped to bless God, to thank God for blessing him with this answer. So then Daniel said, "Let the name of God be blessed forever and ever, for wisdom and power belong to him. It is he who changes the times and the epochs. He removes kings and establishes kings. He gives wisdom to wise men and knowledge to men of understanding. It is he who reveals the profound and hidden things." I underlined this. This is verse 22. It says, I'll read the whole verse, but one of the references is from here. It is he who reveals the profound and hidden things. He knows what is in the darkness, and the light dwells within him. I underlined the part where it says, it is he who reveals the profound and hidden things. Now, my Bible references Job 22:22, but I also could probably reference almost every prophet, because this is what God does. He reveals these things to us through prophecy, basically. He fills us with his Holy Spirit and shows us. So, I did reference, though, the part where it says the light dwells within him. And that references in my Bible Psalms 36:9, which I had mentioned. So I flipped over here to Psalms 36:9. Let's see where we at. Yeah, right here. "For with you is the fountain of life. In your light we see light." The fountain of life is the Spirit and Jesus. And in your light we see light. You know, I think that speaks also of Jesus and God, and Jesus being the Son of God, basically. I want to stammer on about it, but that's where I was going with it. Verse 23, "To you, O God of my life, thanks and praise, for you have given me wisdom and power." I underlined, you have given me wisdom and power, because if he did it for Daniel, he will do it for us all. Okay? "Even now you have made known to me what we requested of you, for you have made known to us the king's matter." And that's exactly what I was saying. God had shown him in a vision or a dream what the king's dream was and the interpretation to go with it. So at this time, I'm going to reference Daniel chapter 1, verse 17, in reference to where it says, "You have given me wisdom and power." And Daniel 1:17 says, "As for these four youths, God gave them knowledge and intelligence in every branch of literature and wisdom. Daniel even understood all kinds of visions and dreams." So it's a reference to this very point, like I had spoke earlier. So verse 24, "Therefore Daniel went in to Arioch, whom the king had appointed to destroy the wise men of Babylon. He went and spoke to him as follows: 'Do not destroy the wise men of Babylon. Take me into the king's presence, and I will declare the interpretation to the king.'" See, Daniel just didn't beg for his life. He also asked for the lives of all the wise men. "Then Arioch hurriedly brought Daniel into the king's presence and spoke to him as follows: 'I have found a man among the exiles from Judah who can make the interpretation known to the king.' The king said to Daniel, whose name was Belshazzar, 'Are you able to make known to me the dream which I have seen in its interpretation Daniel answered before the king and said, "As for the mystery about which the king has inquired, neither wise men, conjurers, magicians, nor diviners are able to declare it to the king. However, there is a God," and it's capitalized. The scribes do that, but they're speaking of the God of Israel, "in heaven, who reveals mysteries, and he has made known to King Nebuchadnezzar what will take place in the latter days. That was your dream and the vision in your mind while in your bed. So he gave him, he told Nebuchadnezzar that this wasn't just a dream, but a vision from God. Okay. As for you, O king, while on your bed, your thoughts turn to what would take place in the future. And he who reveals mysteries has made known to you what will take place. But as for me, this mystery has not been revealed to me, for any wisdom residing in me more than in any other living man, but for the purpose of making the interpretation known to the king, and that you may understand the thoughts of your mind. So what he said right there is that he is no better than any other man, and that he doesn't know anything about this. This is only what God revealed to him for the purpose of giving it to the king. You see what I mean? Not for any other purpose. He was supposed to take this to the king and tell the king so that he could understand what his dreams were. You, O king, were looking, and behold, there was a single great statue. That statue, which was large and of extraordinary splendor, was standing in front of you, and its appearance was awesome. And the head of that statue was made of fine gold, and its breast and its arms of silver, its belly and its thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, its feet partly of iron and partly of clay. You continued looking until a stone was cut without hands, and it struck the statue on its feet of iron and clay and crushed them. Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, and the gold were crushed all at the same time and became like chaff from the summer threshing floors. And the wind carried them away so that no trace of them was found, but the stone was struck. The stone that struck the statue became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. This was the dream. Now we will tell its interpretation before the king. And he said, we. He's talking about him and his companions and the Spirit and God. See? Now we will tell its interpretation. Okay. You, O king, are the King of kings, to whom the God of heaven has given the kingdom, the power, the strength, and the glory. And wherever the sons of men dwell, or the beasts of the field, or the birds of the sky, he has given them into your hand, and has caused you to rule over them all. You are the head of gold. After you there will arise another kingdom inferior to you, then another third kingdom of bronze, which will rule over all the earth. And then there will be a fourth kingdom as strong as iron, inasmuch as iron crushes and shatters all things. So like iron that breaks in pieces, it will crush and break all these in pieces. But in that you saw the feet and the toes, partially of potter's clay and partly of iron, it will be a divided kingdom, but it will have in it the toughness of iron, inasmuch as you saw the iron mixed with the common clay. As the toes of the feet were partly of iron and partly of pottery, so some of the kingdom will be strong and part of it will be brittle. And in that you saw the iron mixed with the common clay, they will combine with one another in the seed of men, but they will not adhere to one another, even as iron does not combine with pottery. In the days of those kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom which will never be destroyed. This is the one that's coming. And that kingdom will not be left for another people. It will crush and put an end to all these kingdoms, but it will itself endure forever. This is the kingdom of God. Okay. Inasmuch as you saw that a stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it crushed the iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God has made known to the king what will take place in the future. This is in the latter days. Okay. So the dream is true, and its interpretation is trustworthy. Then the king, Nebuchadnezzar, fell on his face and did homage to Daniel and gave orders to present him an offering and fragrant incense. The king answered Daniel and said, surely your God is a God of gods and a Lord of kings and a revealer of mysteries, since you have been able to reveal this mystery. Then the king promoted Daniel and gave him many great gifts, and he made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon and the chief prefect over all the wise men of Babylon. And Daniel made request of the king, and he appointed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego over the administration of the province of Babylon when Daniel was at the king's court. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are his companions. That's the names that they were given. And Daniel was given the name Belshazzar. So Belshazzar, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. That's all I have for this one. So thank you and God bless.